Hello, everyone. This is Attorney Meredith Nagel here on behalf of Concierge Title and the Legacy Legal Team. And we have brought today for our Zoom meeting two women who are really standouts in the industry for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons we want to talk about right now is their continued love and excitement for the real estate industry in what has been a few, I think we could all agree, a few challenging years and what looks to be another challenging year ahead with lots of unknowns and market changes. And these two women have taken it on the chin and not only done well, but have managed to spread their good news and their optimism and their tips and their tricks and their influence and everything they can to continue to help others in the industry while they're facing their own challenges. And so today I've brought to you Missy Conway and Connie Mahan to talk about their thoughts and hopes and dreams for the market. Specifically, they're going to talk about how continuing to invest in RALSC and the Women Council of Realtors can make a difference for you in your career in 2026. I know that RALSC has taken it on the chin. I still believe it's one of our most important, if not the most important guideposts we have to continuing to, practice this profession in a reasonable manner. They continue to offer great value. And so I'm going to have Connie talk first about RALSC. Let everybody know you are kind of a poobah at RALSC, meaning
Not a poobah.
poobah in my mind, meaning Connie has really devoted her time and energy to being a servant leader. She educates herself continually and provides a lot of time and energy to the board in whatever capacity they happen to have her serve at a given time. So, Connie, can you talk just quickly about RALSC and what your experience has been there? And then after you're done, we'll ask you a few questions, and then it'll be Missy's turn to talk about Women's Council of Realtors. Go ahead, Connie.
Absolutely. Thank you, Meredith, and thank you for hosting this. I've always told people that if they were ever on the fence about whether or not they wanted to live in Sumter County, that I'm not the person to talk about because I'm going to push them off the fence. And I feel that same way about RALSC, right? If there's ever somebody that is questioning whether or not their money is well spent, whether or not there's another association that might be better, don't talk to me. I've drank all the Kool-Aid. I drank my Kool-Aid, Valerie's Kool-Aid, Missy's Kool-Aid. I really can't think of another organization that is selflessly, I mean, it's worried about self because obviously we are all realtors that comprise the board, right? But it's selflessly really trying to figure out how do we bring the most amount of value to the most amount of members, right? Is your dollar, and we know it's lots of dollars, but is your dollar really, giving you value back? And for Rouse, what I can say is that first of all, our staff is in my opinion, and I do have some exposure to other boards, but our staff is wholehearted. They really are wholehearted. Like they come every day with the idea of how do we serve our member because they are who matters. And so first off the staff, but second off, our board and the committees really do come together. And I'm going to use, right, some words, right, intentionally to be aligned, right? Those are kind of like just dorky words, but we really are intentional with what is the education that is going to impact you the most, right? What are the policies that as our pack or as our, policy committee that we need to stand behind the most, in order to really impact the lives of our members, right? What are the ways in which we as a board and as an association can be absolutely transparent, right? So that where is every single dollar being spent? How are we making the decisions that we make for education or for, money or whatever? That is all open books. There's been unfortunately some news of some other associations where, it's not transparent. And we strive very, very hard And I'm fortunate enough to serve with Missy and with Valerie. I don't know who else on this on this Zoom call, so they could speak to the fact that we are absolutely, dedicated to making sure that everybody knows where their money is going, because it's very hard to earn a dollar, right? It's very hard to earn a dollar in real estate. And finally, our commitment also to engagement. So we are not only holding classes, right? We're not only holding board meetings and committee meetings, but we're also hosting events, right? We're also hosting events so that our members have an opportunity to come together and build those relationships, because, yes, maybe Michelle might not have a lead for me and might not have a referral for me. Maybe, Lucas, I may not have anything for them, but if we're working a deal together and I know I've met, Michelle at an affiliate trade show, now it's going to be so easy for me to pick up the phone and talk to her because we've built that relationship. So if you can think of the networking opportunities not so much as networking as what am I going to get out of this, in the way of, is somebody going to send me a lead for Bushnell, but in a way of, who can I get to know so that when the time comes for me to be on the other end of a deal with somebody, I know them, right? I know Leslie, I know AJ, because I've had an opportunity to meet them. So I am a giant RALSC fan. I am also a giant fan of the National Association of Realtors, wholeheartedly Florida Realtors, without a doubt. I can talk to you about an hour about why they're great. But we're not perfect, right? I mean, as a parent, as a spouse, I'm not perfect, right? And so same thing for NAR. I mean, it's led and run by people, and we make mistakes. But that doesn't mean that what do they say? Throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's an awful expression, but I can't think of one better, right? I mean, there are errors and mistakes that have been made, let's say, but they are still at their core an organization that is fighting for us as realtors, in order for us to, have the ability to do what we do. And there is not another group other than realtors that cares about things like private property rights, water quality, all of the things that we care about that don't necessarily affect us personally. I mean, they do, because most of the time we own homes, but yeah, so Realtor Association, we have a phenomenal website. So you can go on there to see when our classes are. If you're not a member, if you're not donating to RPAC, I strongly encourage you to donate to RPAC. If you don't know what it is, I'll be happy to answer it. But you can do your fair share of RPAC for $25. And if you don't know our staff, get to know them. And if you want to come to our board meetings are completely open. We have what we call a gallery, and you can sit there and listen to the entire thing.
You say, looking back on your career, by measures that we apply for economics and volume, number of units, and all of that, everyone would have to agree you've had a successful career. What part of that success would you attribute to being a part of and being active in the association?
So I think I have a little bit of an unfair advantage here, because year one, like literally year one out of the gate, and not to toot my own horn, but just to be able to tell the story, I won Rookie of the Year, right? So year one out of the gate, there was this organization that was like, hey, here, have this award. And I was like, hey, I like you guys, right? So from the very beginning, I was plugged in. But what I can see wholeheartedly right now, and Valerie for sure is an example of this, is that we have a phenomenal leadership program. And what that is just realtors that want to participate in our leadership program, right? They go to events, and they go to conferences, and they go to meetings, and they go to Great American Realtor Day. And without a doubt, I know Val can speak to it, being connected, right? It's no different than when I am connected to my son, I feel the most amount of success in my family home, right? When I am connected with my agents, I feel the most amount of success in my office. Same thing, when I am truly connected with Rouse, I feel the most amount of success amongst the body of realtors.
And how much of your education have you really
Cool.
gotten from RALSC? If is that been, I mean, I know when
unknown.
I took the Realtor exam, they don't teach you anything about, I mean, it's a joke, really. We
Yeah.
all can agree with that. Doesn't teach you anything about being is that where you say you've gotten really basically all your training except from brokers and listening to people like me?
I won't go so far as to say that I've personally gotten all of my training there because I like to go outside of the footprint of Florida to get some education. But there is no doubt that everything that I have taken for education, um, and actually now I believe they're doing some broker classes, is offered within the walls of RALSC. I mean, they really are constantly taking, if you get that little survey in your email, right, take 3 minutes and answer it because we can't give you what you want if you don't tell us what you want, right? But they really are trying to listen, as to what do the members need to be successful so that we can provide that.
Well, I want to ask a couple of questions of you and Missy together. So we're going to have Missy speak next, but I want you to be prepared to ask the question that I hear asked a lot. Why do I need RALSC anymore? And while you're thinking, because I have people ask me that, maybe they're scared to ask you, but I want to hear from you and from Missy both after Missy's given us an overview of the women's group. And by the way, for the men on the call, you don't have to be a woman to be a part of the Women's Council of Realtors. Missy, can you join us and talk a little bit about your experience in real estate? We just heard Connie. How many years have you had now, Connie?
24-ish.
24-ish, and Missy since 2015. Talk to me about what what RALSC and the Women's Council have been in terms of what they've done for you and the benefit of that going into 2026 for those who are not so sure.
Yes. So my name is Missy Conway. I'm the 2026 president of Women's Council of Realtors, Lake County Network. I don't know if you have all heard, but we have just done a recent merger between North Lake and South Lake. Um, I think it's a very positive move. I think people are really excited about it. I asked for a little bit of grace as we get through that process because in addition to running the network, preparing events, dealing with membership, we're also dealing with the back end of that of name changes, Sunbiz, like everything in the background that goes with that. So it's taken a lot of time. Having said that, I think we have some great events planned for the year and plan to do some more membership growth. We plan to hold some things towards Claremont area and Tavares area so everybody feels included because I think that was part of the pushback of merging is the location of things. And so it wasn't as if North Lake came in and said, we're going to take over and everything's going to be held over here. So we are incorporating both, which I think people are very excited about. And I know we are. Can I talk a little bit about the history of Women's Council? Does anybody know when it was formed or what it,
Please do.
what it
Tell
became
us about it.
of?
Tell us about it.
So the council was founded in 1938. For the first 20 years of organized real estate, women were not allowed to be affiliated with an association at all. So it became a separate group was created and it was formed at an annual convention in Milwaukee in November in 1938 by 37 women out of 9 states. I thought that was very interesting. That it goes back that far in the roots of women's. It doesn't mean that men are not involved and not encouraged to become involved. And actually, we have 7% of the members that are men, as is currently. We have 236 local and state networks combined. That's over 40 states, over 9,000 current members involved. When I talk about Women's Council, it's more than just a networking group that I think a lot of people attribute it to. It's a great leadership opportunity. They offer, many referral opportunities, professional development training. I've been involved as a member since 2018. I've been on the board several times in different capacities. I was voluntold, is that what they say? I was put in as president-elect with a couple months remaining of last year. So I didn't, and then they of course did not tell me that we were doing a merger when I agreed and accepted that position. So that's where we're asking for grace a little bit. This is a new role for me as well, but I'm very excited about it. And I think if any agents, so we have a great group of seasoned agents and newly licensed agents. So I don't want anyone to feel that maybe they're not at a level to join. I started my leadership in Women's Council of Realtors. Now, of course, I'm on the board with Valerie and Connie of the board of directors of RALSC. But where I started with my different roles on the board was through Women's Council.
Well, Missy, you are also a person by any metric that we would say is a successful, long-term successful realtor. What do you guys say when other realtors say, I don't have time to participate in RALSC, or I don't have time to participate in the Women's Council? What do you say to that? Because I know you guys are very busy.
It is very busy, but it's very rewarding. And what I like to say is everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, right? It's what you attribute your time to, what's important to you, and you will make time for it.
And why have you made time for these? As you survey the, 14 working hours a day that you have,
Mhm.
why have these commitments? Because these time commitments are for both of you ladies are not small. Why are you guys committing your time to this instead of calling, I don't know, cold calling, or why, how is it you make the decision that this is a good use of your time?
I feel for me, it's a growth potential. I feel that it's a great referral network of people. If you go to conference and if you participate at that level, you meet people from all over different states. And that is a huge benefit to your company. I also have a lot of mentors in Women's Council of Realtors and Rouse for that matter. That even though you're a seasoned agent, things come up, you need to talk something out, they're there. They have great advice. So I think it's benefited my business tremendously to be involved in both.
What about you, Connie? How is it you decide to spend your time in these efforts? Because neither
So
one of you need to do this anymore. I mean, everybody knows who y'all are. You could have a very happy, successful 2026 and not donate any of your time in this way. So I think it's very valuable to us to hear why you nonetheless continue on. What's the value to you?
So for me, for Women's Council, so I was founding president of our Sumter network of Women's Council because Women's Council, in my opinion, is the absolute most perfect vehicle to bring in national education opportunities to the local level. So, like Missy says, when we get to go to these states and national conferences and we see these speakers and these teachers, right? Will they come to Rouse? Sure, probably for $1 million, but they have such a relationship and such a core buy-in with Women's Council that if we were to have the same instructor go to Rouse, it's going to be for $1 billion. And if we have them come to Women's Council, a lot of time they're like, I'll do it. I don't mean to say I'll do it for free, but I'll do it for free, right? Because they so wholeheartedly believe the benefit of membership to the group. So for Women's Council, for me, no doubt, yes, referrals and connection, but it was a vehicle to bring national education to the local level. For RALSC, for me, we have a few family mottos or sayings, whatever, and one is, if not me, then who? Right? If not me, then who? If not me to get involved and not just complain about how something is run, but get in there and look at the nuts and bolts and understand why it's run the way it's run and do my part to help it. If not me to give my 2 cents as to what do I know my realtors are needing for education. So and then they just were serving Kool-Aid and then it just went downhill from there. But yeah, it's those two reasons for me. It's just vehicles to bring things to my community for sure.
What about you, Missy? As you know, what keeps you in? What keeps you dedicating your time when you really don't have to anymore?
That's a great question. And some days we think of that, right? In the midst of it. I agree with Connie. The education is amazing. We do have a Women's Council of Realtors designation of the PMN course, which is, in my opinion, it's up with the GRI course, and which is really a great opportunity for education. But overall, I am definitely involved in the professionalism and education that it brings to our industry. And I think if you want to be held at that level, known to be have that kind of professional standard, then by being a leader, you are looked to for that.
Well, and I don't think it's a coincidence that both of you who have put this time into furthering your professional development just so happen to be successful in your profession. I don't think that's a coincidence. What do you say? What do you think when I say that about the success, how the success in your business is related to the time that you invest in RALSC and Women's Council?
I believe that goes hand in hand.
And
I,
why? Yeah, what are you thinking, Connie?
I do, but I would push back just a little because I don't want somebody. I think that being engaged with Women's Council and Rouse is a tool you can use to ensure your success. But if I'm engaged with them and then I go sit on the couch the rest of my day, right? So I think that there needs to be some self accountability to the hours. Is anybody doom scrolling all day long? Are you just watching YouTube all day long? Right. So I think that that's both. I think that engaging with people that care about making sure they're giving you what you need, and then also going and implementing that stuff in your day to day.
Well, I think
Yes, and that goes
those
back to everybody has the same 24 hours in the day. Where do they use it? Um,
and I
and so
think
if
both
they're
of
very
those
mindful of
organizations,
that,
yeah, those organizations though are helping equip you to know what's a good use of your time. What are the resources available to you? For me, from the lawyer side, the educational piece, if I could help, if I could walk around with a sign to just your average buyer or seller, if I could help them understand how much of a difference that the education of their agent makes. It is an entirely different transaction when I am seeing educated agents on one or both side versus uneducated agents. I just think, the fact that you guys, the most successful realtors I see out there, I don't think it's a coincidence that those are the realtors that are continually searching for opportunities to do just what these networks do: get more education, get smarter, meet more people, and do good service, do good things in the world, get smarter, meet more people. And somehow these things work together that I see as a lot of the special sauce for I have in my world doing title closings. I will frequently have agents say to me, "Well, why am I not as successful as thus and so person?" And almost without exception, it is not that thus and so person knows someone or how long they've lived in the community. Almost without exception, is thus and so person is investing in themselves and in their career through education and through servant leadership. And that's what these positions are, because you're really not getting anything out of it. It's just an opportunity to get back. Yes, you get referrals back, but like every good thing, it seems like you get more out of what you give than what you get. And I see both of you shaking your head. So 2026, I think, is got a lot of realtors feeling a little shaky, a little anxious. We'll start with you, Missy. What would you say to encourage a realtor who's sitting here now, February 23rd, thinking about what 2026 has to bring? What would you say to encourage?
I would say to stay focused. I know there is a lot of ups and downs in real estate. And if you stay focused, so as an example, when we had COVID, I think that was the biggest unknown for all of us, right? What I chose to do with my time was educate online. We had Zoom opportunities everywhere. I probably have 12 designations because I spent a lot of time in education. I thought, when are we ever at home where we can't go out and work? So what can I do again to focus on the time we have? What can I do to educate and help myself during this period of time? And that's what I chose to do. And I probably got 5 designations or so over that time that we were home. Of course, once we opened up again, we were on the go. But when would we ever have that kind of time also to designate to education for that period of time? So,
You would say stay focused on education. What else?
um, that's a good question. I
What
would
about
I would
Connie?
also stay engaged, um, be around successful people so you see what they're doing and what advice they can help you with. And I've fallen on that in my business quite often. Because I think we all start out and we say, how can we get to that level? And those are the things that we try to implement to get to that level.
Yeah, excellent. What about you, Connie? What are you saying to somebody staring down what feels to be maybe the barrel of 2026? What good advice do you have?
Well, I first say to them that they are not crazy, right? We acknowledge the fact that their anxious feelings are absolutely valid, right? Their fears are absolutely valid. But the beautiful thing about this industry, like what gets me so excited about this industry, is that it truly is one of those um, vehicles. I don't know why I keep using the word that you will get out of it as much as you put into it. You really will. There is nobody that's stopping you from succeeding but you, right? And so for me, with at least with my agents, what I 2025 for me in business was a little challenging, and that's because I I didn't expect it to be as challenging, right? And so I got to a point and I was like, man, why is this so hard, right? It was supposed to be easier. 2024 was hard. Why is 2025 hard? And I realized that I had forgotten my why. And so coming into 2026, because I realized that 2026, although we were promised the it's all going to be better to 2026, right? It was very easy for me to see that there are just some global macro and micro things going on that is not necessarily the case. And so I wanted with my agents to really drill down, and I encourage you guys to do this. Find out what's your why. Like why literally, and it's okay to pay your electric bill, sure. That if that's what it is, then that's fine. Then what, I mean, Meredith is the one that said this to me, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Um, no, actually, it was 4 years ago when I was going through that FREC audit or that whatever audit, DBPR, I don't know. And I was panicked, even though I do nothing wrong in my business, but still, when they come knocking on the door, you get scared. And she said, just do the next right thing, just do the next best thing. And, in the moments when you get scared or anxious or worried or whatever, right, remember your why. And then what's the next best thing? Because if you're worried about 3 months from now, if you're worried about 6 months from now, it's too big. I mean, it's too big. But if you worry about what can I do in the next 60 seconds, what can I do in the next 5 minutes that gets me one step closer to my why, next thing you know, you're 4 hours into your day and you left that anxiousness behind. What is the saying? Idle hands are the devil's work or something like that. It's the same thing. When I have my realtors that get a little anxious, I say, just get busy, right? Get busy being busy. And not, I mean, yes, you could do busy work, but what's the next right thing that gets you one step closer to your why? So I think as kooky or woohoo or whatever as it sounds, being crystal clear on what your why is so important.
Yeah, sometimes that woohoo stuff is real,
Yeah.
right?
I'm a lot of woohoo.
So a question for both of you. We've had a lot of negativity about what's the value of MLS. I mean, people have been complaining about MLS since the history of MLS. That's not new. But after the settlement and changes in the market. What would you say to the realtor who asked the question, why is RALSC still relevant? I would love to hear from both of you on this. If you want to go ahead and start, Missy, why still RALSC?
I feel like RALSC plays such a huge part in our industry. Um, the basic level, the professional standards, right? And I keep going back to that because I'm the professional standards chair at Rouse. And the things that we see that come through and the way that it has to be managed is so important. And without that, where does our ethics go? Where does our professional standards and our level of what the agent brand looks like, the realtor brand looks like? So to me, that's what's important.
What about you, Connie? Why still RALSC?
Yeah, I think that for the exact absolutely what Missy said is, Rouse gives you the opportunity for that three-way agreement, right? It's Rouse, Florida Realtors, National Association of Realtors. And the National Association of Realtors is who set up our code of ethics, right? And so being a member of Rouse, not only do we get at the local level that matters for us, like I know Rouse is about to go interview our county administrator for Sumter County, right? So I know they're going to bring back information that is good for us. So for sure, education. But then they're tied into the National Association of Realtors, which gives us a code of ethics so that our professional standards are high. And they're tied into Florida Realtors, who, in my opinion, other than my attorney who's on this call, give us incredible access to really great legal guidance. Right.
That's right.
I know states, I know agents in other states that do not have a legal hotline, do not have their forms created, by their state. And it's a nightmare. It's scary actually. So, I mean, you have that networking education at the local level, that access to the state guidance, and then your national tie-in to so that we are all operating at the code.
Yeah, I know for me from the outside, it's what Missy says, the wild, wild west that the consumers that would not know better would be subject to is frightening to think about. And we have all had the misfortune of dealing with agents that are not governed by our set of standards, and it is an entirely different ballgame. I don't want to know what we would be like without NAR, and ever thankful for the guidance of FAR. So, and then of course Rouse kind of bringing that all home locally. Well, I want to finish by saying it's not a coincidence that both of you are so successful. It's not a coincidence that both of you give back so much. It's not a coincidence that both of you treat your job like a profession. And what I mean when I say that is you're constantly seeking to be more educated, and a better ambassador for what you do and loving what you do for a living. So for both of you, you to me are shining examples of not just financial success in terms of, transactions closed, but in terms of, living and working in a way that is congruent, meaning having high standards for yourself, high standards for your job, and those standards transmitting to excellent service to the people that you list and sell homes to. So I am so thankful that you took your time to do this today. Please keep it up and keep inspiring the younger generation. Not that we're old, but I know that both of you spend a lot of time answering questions and mentoring less experienced realtors or realtors who need a fresh start. And I want realtors to hear that it's never too late to say, hey, I want to take another look at how I'm doing things. And right now in 2026 might be that opportunity. You might become re-energized, excited again. So I hope that people don't just say, well, I never was involved and it's too late. It's never too late. I know there's plenty of service opportunities available. So thank you guys both for being here, and thank you for keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for being an inspiration to so many that are coming behind you and are watching you. I know y'all present this beautiful face of confidence and competence, and I know that you also struggle just like everybody else. You have your moments of anxiety, your moments of fear, your moments of frustration. But I think what's different is you find the way to push through by staying focused on whether it's the next right thing or staying busy on what will eventually make you successful. So I'm so thankful that you're out there fighting the good fight. Keep it up. And we look forward to continue to seeing you guys thrive in 2026. Thanks for everybody for being here. Next Monday, March 2nd, we're going to have a replay. It'll be live, but it'll be the second presentation that we're doing about the new fence-in requirements. They're not anything to be frightened of. We've got it broken down into a little chart, if, trying to make it as easy as we can for you guys. So I hope to see some of you there. And thank you again. Great information.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.